welcome everyone to the Allen Powell Show. We are back live on a Wednesday night. A lot of stuff going on in the sports world. Offer was made to Caitlin Clark to join the Big Three. Kim Mulkey has beef with the Washington Post. The Sweet 16 is set for the men and the women, and March Madness is alive and well. I got a special guest coming on with us. So with all that being said, let's get ready to lock and load, people, and let's have a great show.
We lock and load, Allen Powell. It's the Allen Powell Show. Yeah. We lock and load. Come on. It's the Allen Powell Show. Yeah. We lock and load. Come on. It's the Allen Powell Show. Yeah. We lock and load. It's the Allen Powell Show. Yeah. We lock and load. Come on. Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us once again on a Wednesday night. Man, March Madness is here. The Sweet 16 is here. When the women and the men, and when I seen the women's game coming up on my TV screen, I said, man, this would be a great time to talk with the special guest that I talked to. I thought it was a long time ago. It was actually only 9 months ago. So with that being said, Hall of Fame coach, first woman to have a scholarship at Indiana, over 25 years of motivational speaker, Coach Sue Ramsey. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Al. It's great to be with you this evening.
Yes. So I said, man, with the women's game thriving and the Sweet 16 is here, who can I talk to tell us what's going on in the women's game and to break down what's going on?
Well,
and I think you're the perfect person to talk to. So I want to talk about the women's Sweet 16 and just about the game in general. It's taken off to a point where I think they surpassed the men's game and they have star power.
yeah.
What do you think where the women's college game is right now?
It's in a terrific place. Star power, absolutely. And I think I heard someone say this, and it depicts the last 40 some years that the women have been playing in the NCAA tournament and had a tournament. But this year, it used to be in the past, the names would be the coaches' names. Right. And always just all you have to do is say the first name. It's Pat, it's Tara, it's Gino, so those were the highlighted features. Now it has shifted, and now people know players' names. So yes. Again, first names, you can say, Caitlin, obviously Caitlin, and we got, State Farm commercials and all sorts of things going on there. Paige, if you follow UConn, you got to know Paige Beckers. Cameron, she's got a New Balance commercial. So Cameron Brink from Stanford, another unbelievable Juju Watkins from USC, a stud freshman, dropped 51 points when they played Stanford during the regular season. I mean, Angel Reese, yep, made a splash last year, obviously in the final game, in the championship game, and then freshman Hannah, and I don't say her last name real well, Hadula. Yeah. Again, a freshman that plays at Notre Dame, tremendous, and Camila Cardoza hopefully was known before she got tossed from that LSU game, but another. So all those names represent our game at a high level, and a game that viewers obviously have tuned into, and people in person. I mean, the sellouts this year have been just phenomenal and unprecedented. And again, I think the catalyst was people wanted to see Caitlin Clark play. So every place she went, it was sold out. But we got sellouts at Indiana. We've got sellouts at Ohio State. I mean, there's quite a few. So it's a great time for women's basketball.
Yes, absolutely. And then something that came to me is in a women's game, the first couple of rounds in the tournament, they actually play at home.
Yeah.
Instead, how do you like that format opposed to the men who, they go off to different sites and play their games?
Well, I served on committees. I was with the WBCA on their board for quite a few years and heard all those discussions. And to be honest with you, it's all down to the almighty dollar. So financially, it was necessary for us to play at those home sites so we would draw the crowds. Now, with what's happened this year and people willing to go on the road, and are we ready to take that to neutral sites like the men have it? I don't know if this is the next year would be the one to do it, or if we need a couple more years under our belt to make that happen. But it was really all based on attendance.
We got a Black Butterfly Pod checking in, says women's basketball is much better. Me and my daughter are locked in. This is something that I've never seen. Father and daughter can lock in on the women's game, and it can
Right.
and it can be enjoyed. It's such a different timing right now. But I want to ask you, regarding the two different types of tournament styles, which one do you think is better? And do you think that maybe men, based on record, maybe the first couple of rounds they should get home court advantage? Which format do you like better?
I guess I'd be interested in seeing what the men's statistics are for attendance. If that's going to be something that's a drastic change, if they're going to draw more people, if they do have it in the hometowns. If it's not, then I kind of like having the more neutral sites. I think that's a attraction for people in those areas to get a chance to see and to get exposed to other teams that they might not see, especially in person. Since a lot of there's more women's games on TV, but still not as many. So that would give them an opportunity to see it. So, I understand the financial piece, but I do think the neutral courts give maybe a little bit more a fair advantage to no one.
Yeah, so as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking like, you know what? I think the women's format is better because you're rewarding the top teams for regular season, and if you want to make it more important, and I think that it's probably a better option in my opinion. Now that I'm thinking about it, because you're rewarding the top teams for their record.
Yep, that's true. That is a plus. And the saying, if you want to get in the tournament, win. It kind of comes down to a lot of people like, oh, we should have been in, we're on the boat. Well, win. I mean, it's not a exact science, and but yeah, that is a reward.
And I'm thinking you're rewarding the university. They get a chance to get more ticket sales, more revenue for their university. They should be rewarded for their team doing well in the regular season.
And the support they give them throughout the year. Sure.
Right. As we're looking at the women's Sweet 16, what are you looking forward to the most as far as teams or games coming up in the Sweet 16?
Yeah. Well, I got my little bracket here that I've been filling out diligently. It's interesting. We talk about the parity in the women's game has gotten better. However, it is still all the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are still live in the Sweet 16. So 11 of the 12, the only one that's not, unfortunately, is from my home state. Ohio State Buckeyes went down to Duke, and actually Duke is the highest seed or lowest seed of a team that's still alive, and that's 7th seed. So I think there's going to be some really interesting games, and there were in the last round as well, and some close games. But I think as far as seeding is concerned, there could be some upsets in those rankings and those numbers. I agree that it's South Carolina and the rest of the field. I think Dawn's just done an amazing job of once again putting together a team with depth, a team that understands their roles and understands what it takes to play as a team, and they don't miss many beats. So I think they're sitting pretty good.
And then I would ask you, have they been the most impressive team to you, or has some other team been very impressive as well?
Consistently, yeah, they have been. On the other side, though, you cannot not talk about Iowa, and everyone wants to talk about Caitlin, and she is an absolute phenomenal basketball player, not just a shooter. And I think what I've been impressed with a lot of things throughout this season. One is her maturity and the ability to handle all the attention she's gotten. But 2 is how she's really elevated the game of her teammates. And her passing is phenomenal to me. I'm just amazed at it and the confidence that she has instilled in her teammates, because it is a team sport and it's going to take everyone around her in order to be successful, not just her doing her thing.
As we're watching the Women's Sweet 16 and we get coming down to the wire, I have to ask you, do you have a pick to win the whole thing?
The whole thing. Yeah, I'm not going to be too original here, but I'm betting on South Carolina. I would not eliminate UConn because Gino's just been there so many times, and we weren't getting all the recognition when he was having his runs. But when you look back at history and undefeated seasons, oh my gosh, it is so hard to go undefeated in this game. It is. It is. You can just have a cold night and boom, that can be it. So I wouldn't shut him out of the picture and by any means. And of course, Iowa being one of those as well.
Okay, okay, so there you have it, people.
There it is.
You got some brackets.
Don't go with me now. I mean, I'm just guessing like the rest of you.
You mentioned Caitlin Clark and what she's done in the game and her passing and of course her shooting. It was a story that said that Caitlin Clark was offered $5 million to join the Big Three. That's Ice Cube's um, league that he has for basically like the retired players of the NBA. But he said he offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to join the Big Three. I don't know what that would look like. The first woman to be in the Big Three. 5 million is a lot of money. I know that's a lot more than the salary she'll be making in the WNBA, but we all know that she has lots of endorsements and things of that nature.
Sure.
Do you think there's any chance that Caitlin Clark would take that offer and join the Big Three for 5 million?
No. I just think that she is aware of the power that she has right now to influence the game. And I think that part of her decision not to stay at Iowa for her 5th year and to go in the WNBA was that she wanted to impact the WNBA in the same way. And I think she's sitting right there real pretty to be able to do that and to boost attendance and excitement about that game. And I think money's money. She's got plenty of money right now, I'm sure, and she's going to continue to. So I don't think that would be the driving force. I think the ability and the opportunity to have an impact on a huge scale like she can would be her main motivation.
You talked about the impact that she possibly can make on the WNBA, and that was going to be my next question, because that would be, if for whatever reason she did decide to take that offer, that would be a huge loss for the WNBA. And I think it was some stories saying they're already making murals out in Indiana for Caitlin Clark already.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, I was in the state of Indiana for quite a while, and I'm telling you what, it's like it all falls in the right place, because I don't know that a state that embraces basketball more than Indiana does, and it just seems to be a perfect fit. So I think she can see, and I think the other thing is, I think Caitlin's getting some tremendous advice and guidance from some really solid people, and you need that mentoring piece. Lisa Bluter's a friend of mine, and she's solid as can be, a wonderful person, and I think they've all done a terrific job of navigating uncharted territory.
Now we've seen how the college game has grown over these past few years, and with the anticipation of Caitlin Clark going into the WNBA, to the Indiana Fever, and just the WNBA in general, do you think that type of growth can happen in the WNBA as well?
I do. I do, because if we sat here a year ago and said that every place that Caitlin was playing would be sold out, I'd say, yeah, I don't know about that. We're a little crazy on that one. We can hope, but it happened, and I think the momentum is great right now, and we can keep that ball rolling.
I want to get to another story that's been that's been coming up lately regarding Kim Mulkey and the Washington Post. And the reason why I wanted to ask you, because you coached over 35 years, you dealt with the media, and
Mhm.
some of the comments that she made, I agree with, but I'm also leery as to why um, she's saying the things that she's saying, because I don't think a lot of people knew anything that she was talking about until she mentioned it.
Yeah.
But Kim Mulkey has had some, I would say, disagreements with the Washington Post, and she said, "I'm fed up. I will sue the Washington Post if they publish a false story." Um, they're supposed to be the reporter been trying to get a story with her for some years,
Mhm.
and it hasn't come nothing has come out yet, but it seems like it's possibly one of those big story or scandals or something that possibly can be coming down the pipeline. But she made some comments about that's why people don't trust the media now. You do it for clickbait and try to get a story, and to a certain extent I agree with her.
Mhm.
She also mentioned that the reporter was going to former players to try to get them to say disparaging stuff about her,
Right.
disgruntled players. You as a coach, what do you think about this story, and how did you deal with the media
Mm.
when you were coaching?
Well, the first thing, Al, is as a coach, it is our responsibility to respond to media, and it's part of the territory. It's part of what we sign up for. It's one of those things where we expect them to give us coverage
Mhm.
and to be at our games and to hype us up and whatever. And so it's the reciprocal. It's okay, then I need to make sure my door is open and you have access to me as well. So when I read that she had shunned this guy for 2 years or something like that, that didn't sit real well.
Mm.
And I can only imagine, maybe some things that he's gathered. Now, I hope he's a professional. He's apparently very well known in the profession, and it's not like he's hopefully going to not turn around and retaliate against her. So that piece, I'm like, okay, that maybe that's hindsight now, and you can't go back and say, but cooperating with the media, number one. Number two, you can that calling players. I mean, there's always going to be somebody upset with the coach. Fleetwood Mac song says players only love you when they're playing. I mean, I think that's sometimes comes into play, and people can be disgruntled and all. If the universities where Kim has coached, which are just phenomenal places, if there's never been anything, which as far as I know, there's never been anything that's come up controversial, anything brought against her as far as a moral or ethical standpoint, then God love her. I mean, she's got a clean record. I mean, yeah, she's out there. She's a little controversial just from the outfits that she wears, and but she's her own person. I coached against her when she was at La Tech, and she hasn't changed. I mean, she's a feisty little thing with those pigtails as a player,
Mhm.
and she's feisty now. And Kim is Kim. But the one thing I noticed too, she is emotional and passionate, but after the games when she shakes hands with her opponents, it's very sincere, it's very real, and it's she's giving positive comments to them and respect, and I respect that.
She said something about the media, about not being trustworthy, and I can just remember the football player Marshawn Lynch. In his interviews, he would not give the media anything,
Mm,
because of a issue. I would ask you, um, is the media trustworthy in your
mm.
opinion?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they try to be. I want to, give them the benefit of the doubt. Uh, I think an example for Kim, even this year, when she had Angel Reese bench for a couple games, and she did not speak to this is a team matter, this is a private matter, and the media respected that, and they didn't try to make up stuff. And I think again, it's a two-way street. What you say you have to be responsible for as a coach. And oftentimes it's better not to say too much. And hopefully those that are reporting it now, with social media and all, it gets a little out of control and can't be as monitored as closely, but hopefully they respect that and the profession.
In all your years of coaching, have you ever had any media that kind of rubbed you the wrong way, or you thought they had ulterior motives in their reporting or anything like that?
No, but you got to understand. I mean, I'm old, and the media wasn't quite as hyped up. And no, I was very blessed. I had just tremendous relationships with all those that were covering us, and when we were fortunate to get to the national tournament 2 years in a row, all the people there were great as well. So nope, I was fortunate.
Kim Mulkey also said that she didn't like the story that this reporter did on Brian Kelly from LSU, the football coach, and that's part of the reason why she kind of,
Uh,
not gave this man the story as well.
okay.
Um, so so is she correct? And based on the story, based on the history of this guy reporting, if she thought that, hey, I don't like the story that you did on a and the same school, the football coach, is she within her right to say, you know what, I don't think I want to deal with you because I kind of know how you are.
Well, she might have that right. I don't know about the story, but here's my thing. Out, it's the best way to make sure that communication is accurate
Mhm.
is to sit face to face and communicate. And you can have a witness, you can tape it, whatever you want. But if she wants to be fairly represented and to put her brand out there, so to speak, then sit down and talk to the guy. Sit
Mhm.
down and say, this is who I am. This is what we do. And clearly, at many levels, we're successful. So, I mean, don't be afraid to communicate.
Wow, that's good because that definitely sounds like a great way to do it. Like if I have nothing to hide or I'm a genuinely good person, hey, I'm gonna sit down with you. I'm gonna tell you everything.
Yep.
But she's hired a defamation lawyer. She says she's got the best defamation lawyer out there, and if whatever story comes out is not accurate, she's going to sue. What do
Yeah.
you think about that method
Uh, I
of
just
fighting?
know she's got a lot of money. I know that. And I guess money can help that and cover that. I don't know. I don't know who this guy is, the reporter. I don't know if he could sleep better at night if he just said, "Woof, let's just let's just not do this one and let's go to another one," or if he's the type that wants to keep putting fuel on the fire and go from there. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, all right. Real quick, have you paid attention to the men's
Yeah, I
team?
got that. I got that bracket too.
So I'm in the Midwest. We're in the Midwest. So
Yep.
I still have Purdue and Illinois in
Mhm.
there. And but a lot of people are saying UConn is the favorite. Who do you have coming out from the men's side?
It's hard to win it back to back. But when you look at UConn's path last year, they weren't picked, and so they kind of were the surprise team, and now they've been in the limelight the whole year long. I I'm a person who always kind of goes for the underdog. I just love what NC State has done this year. I love their run through their conference tournament, winning 5 in 5 days, and I just I just think those guys are really special, and the coaching staff, and I like them. I'm not saying that they could win it all, but I like them a lot. Yeah, Purdue, they had to live 365 days with what happened last year, and so it's a heightened awareness. I think they're all the ones left are tremendously coached, and those people know what they're doing. So I it's going to be fun. I don't think there's a clear cut. Maybe a little bit more on the women's side with South Carolina. But again, any given day, you just ask Kentucky men's basketball what can happen.
Right.
I got a little D2 guy that transferred from Hillsdale College that for
Mhm.
Oakland that goes in there and goes crazy on shooting those threes, and it's fun to see.
Well, there you have it. both sides of the coin. Coach Ramsey has given you all some nuggets to chew on while you're going through your brackets. I think in my bracket, I think I picked Illinois or Purdue. I was biased in my pick, so I picked one of
Okay.
those. I forgot
That's
what.
all right. You got to back the home team. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do have a come to church scripture with me, and going through my study time a few days ago, I came across this scripture, 1 Peter 3:15. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect.
Mm,
And I think that
mm,
this scripture stuck out to me because it said, do this with gentleness and respect. And we've gotten in a era where people are being very aggressive and rude when trying to share their faith, and that's not my method. And every time I challenge or try to come talk about sharing your faith, the other side always say, "Well, Jesus flipped over tables." Well, I said, "Well, you forget about all the other times he spoke with people and how he dealt with them. To me, he was more strategic. He would ask questions, different things like that.
right.
But this scripture says, make sure that you do it with gentleness and respect. And
Right.
I also want to talk about always prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks to give the reason for the hope that you have. And I want
Mhm.
to talk to the people that I would say you might come into some contact with people who might try to debate you or ask you millions of questions that you might not have the answer, but you can always go back to your own testimony.
Right.
And I think when you can do that, that's personal and it's relatable, and it's another scripture that talks about you are overcome by the blood of the lamb and the word of your testimony. So I
Mm,
always think that you can go back to that.
mm,
So this scripture stuck out to me. Coach Ramsey, I know you are a believer.
mhm.
Got any thoughts about this scripture that you might want to?
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorites. I think the being prepared part is I liken this to as a coach prepares his or her athletes, he includes the playbook.
Mm,
And the playbook contains this is how we're going to break a press. This is our out of bounds plays. This is how we act in public. Well, God didn't leave us hanging. I mean, he gave us the playbook. So if you're prepared, if you're in the word and you're reading the word and no, we're never going to understand all of it. God's ways are way far above ours and his thoughts above ours. But it does say that all scripture is inspired by God and profitable for teaching, reproof, correction, and training in righteousness, the training in righteousness, that the man of God might be what? Adequately equipped. So it's our equipment. And so you're ready to give an answer if you've read the word and studied the word and are in the word. That first and foremost. And about treating each other, I just go back to Galatians and the fruits of the spirit. I go back to love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And it's interesting, there's 9 of those.
mm.
And the number 9 is about maturity, right? It takes 9 months for a baby to mature, to be born. And so if you stay in those words and use those as guides for your life and how to treat others and how to treat yourself, then you'll continue to mature in those.
Wow, you dropped a few nuggets in there. Um, Speaking of numbers, 9 months to mature, and all of those are true for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so I appreciate adding on to that. Once again, I thank you for
Mm.
coming on and joining me again to talk some sports and some college basketball, and just joining the show all together.
Always my pleasure. I appreciate what you do, and most of all, how you continue to spread God's love. So thank you. Blessed.
Once again, that is Coach Ramsey, y'all. We're about to get ready to get out of here, and we will catch you next week. Thanks again. We are gone.
We lock and load, Allen Pants.